In this video, I'll show you how you can use the Figaf tool to start working with Git for all your SAP integration in cloud integration. So here we have our cloud integration, and we have also synchronized this to our Figaf tool that is running here. It's in our PWA, but you can obviously also run it in the browser, as we probably will see as we get along with this. Okay, so the first thing is to do this, we obviously need to create a Git repository. And we go to Git repositories, click on repositories, create a new one, Figaf Cloud. It's available, we make it private. We don't want everybody to see our code here, so that's good. No license, that is just fine. So now we have a Git repository, and we will need this URL here. So we copy this URL, go to the Figaf tool, here under agents, go under agents, and then we find the CPI system that we are connected to, which is then this one. Here we have this enable Git integration. When we've expanded this, we get a lot of extra details. We want to synchronize all of these artifacts, scenario documentation. That is good. Here, the name of the branch, IIT Sync or Figaf Sync. We use a username, which was, I guess maybe just that. And then in Git, we will then need to create a security setting here. It is under your profile, your settings, developer settings, personal access token, fine grained token, that's a fine one. We create a new one here. Just need to change our password. And we will call the Figaf trial 7 days. And we can then define what public access it should have. It should only have access to select repositories. And here we can then select the one we just cloud, Figaf Cloud. So now it only has access to this repository. And I guess that should probably be it. We may need to add some other issues, but I think that should probably do. So it has permission of one of your repositories, and we say generate token. We copy this token, and we will probably need it some other places later on. Okay, so we go here, we insert here this token, and then we press save. So now we have saved it. We can now check if we have our access. So the Git connection was not okay. Git upload pack was not okay. So we need a different token. So we'll just delete this one. Just delete, and we'll generate a new one. Some days, resource owner, select repositories, cloud. Content commit, I guess this is the one we want, read and write. Content, maybe you can need to select some other things, but maybe that should be okay. So let's try that. So we'll copy this, go to the Figaf tool, insert here, save, and now let's check. So now we have access. Good. To populate this, we can go here, that one here, and select init Git repository. This will first synchronize to the all data from the CPI system, and then it will update all of this into the Git repository. Depending on your repository number of iFlows, this can take a while to get this working. But yeah, now it is processing, but it will take a few minutes. Anyway, before we get started with that, we need something else, and I have just gone into IntelliJ, or IntelliJ. If you go here to JetBrains, find the IntelliJ, and then you can use the community edition. That's a free one, but you can always also take the paid one if you want other services. So now, if we go to this, we install it. And this may also take a little while. So I guess I'll just do a default installation of all of this. Desktop shortcut. That's fine. Yes, let me just pause until these are done. Okay, so the synchronization is now done, and we're getting a warning here. Let's see if that should not give us any problems later on. Otherwise, it's one we have reported and we'll be fixing. Here we can see the Git repository and everything that goes into this. So we can see it was committed with 6 minutes ago with 2 commits. I guess there's an initial one, and then there's the part about adding all the content into this branch. Good. But Git is not really useful. You need a place for it to run. So let's get the code. So we'll get it here. And we will open IntelliJ. Go it. And we will get a new project here from version control. It will get this one. Clone. We need to log in using GitHub, or we can use the token that we already used, and that would also be an accessible one. But I think here it will go and just create a general token that would allow us to clone all repositories into Git. I think one thing I did run locally was this ignore or core long path. There is sometimes that you would see path that does not allow you to have long names in them, and there you just need to run this command as an administrator, and then everything's good. Yes, we want to trust it. Okay, so here we have a freshly checked out project. I had to do a few takes and stuff like that, so we are starting out from scratch on a new project. Good. So the first thing we do here is what we can see. We have all the different iFlows in here. We have different information about these iFlows, parameters, everything like that is here in this scenario. Okay. To get started, we need to take this file, copy it, change it to just gradle.properties. Here it shows you the different ways that you can interact with it. What is systems that is being used. And we can go in and modify these files. So we can see here it comes with a gradle.build file that's automatically updated. It comes with settings. Here you have all the list of projects that you are using in. If you want to limit this, you can obviously do this. The idea is obviously that this gradle should not be changed, and this is only for you, your usage. Good. One more thing here we can see is we have the gradle here, and we have here, if we are in the gradle, in the build gradle, we can now see here we got an option here to run this. And this running would allow us to take all of the artifacts and run all of the components here. So we can see here that right now the number of external libraries is null. And what it will now do, if everything is set up correctly, is it will take all of these files, all of the components that is a part of this scenario, and then it will figure out what to do with these scenarios and what you can actually do with it. So it will take a little while for it to run. You can see here that it is doing some different things. And this is about fetching all the latest version of the Gradle, of the of all the different components that is being used for this scenario. So let me just pause and then come back once this is done. Okay, if you have a large set of iFlows in your system, it may be a good idea to remove some of the projects that you would not need in this settings.gradle. Otherwise, it does take too long time for it to compile. What you can see here is all the external libraries, and we can see it has also added the SAP external libraries for here. If we click here, we can see all of the different projects that we have now in our context, and this is good. We have the faster CPI, we have some of these iFlows that we want to be testing on. So this is all good. All in all, this just makes it easy for customers to get started with this. Okay. And yeah, one of the things I did check uncheck was in here, we also have an option to add scenario documentation. That was unchecked. If you did that, in the you'd see Excel documents on all the iFlows with documentation on what's going on. Okay, so next up is we want to create a test case so we can actually see how this can be processed. And we do already have some test data here, so let's go to the testing tool. Okay, so here under the testing tools, we have the test cases. We have one of these test cases, and let me just see here. Let's get the right one here. So we can take it here. We can open the messages. And one of the things we can see on this messages is we have this here, generate Groovy script. If we select that one, we can either download an archive. If we have not set up everything else, then that is an okay way to go. But since we have the Groovy script running, we can just say add to Git repository. This will then take these messages and put them into our Git repository. So if we click here at our script, we can see that there is it should have been added. Just check. Okay, so now we can see that this was added to the grid script, and we can see one of the things that it adds is it adds these components here as a part of this. And that means if we go back to our Git repository, and here we can go in and we can say git pull. And if we open this project we have here, and you can see here some of these have this name on, that means they're a project, others do not have, and that's because they've removed it. So what we can see now is we have this Groovy here, a unit test here. This is not on all the other ones. So here we do not have test cases for this. So this is when you create the test cases, you have this this data here. So we have here the scripts, and we'll just go here. We can go and we can set a breakpoint. Let's just see here what it is using. It is using setHeaders2, and we open setHeaders2 here. So that should be good. Okay, so one of the things we have here is we have this that enables us to run. We can try to run it, and this will then send it the message, and we will be able to compare the result and see if everything is as we would expect it to do. If you under here the headers, you can see There's an input part and with headers and properties, and the payload that you can see in here. And all those just generated automatically, enabling you to work with this without having explicit information about how to deal with this. So there was some new properties that we have not included in our ignore expressions with this. And then obviously you just need to go and check these and ensure that they are correct. Good. But let's see here. So in this test case, we have set a breakpoint. That means that if we go here and we say run this, run it in debug. So now it will start up the application in debug mode. And one thing to notice is in this environment, we are running in a simulated environment. So it will not allow you to do all the different components and scenarios that you will be required to do. So it may be possible that it does not know certain API, certain criteria. So we knows the message, the body, these kind of things, but not all the other components around it. If you want this deeper knowledge and using specific CPI APIs, use the Groovy editor inside of Figaf, because that is being triggered for those scenarios. So we can see here we are getting the message. We can see what the payload looks like at this point in time. And if you're a good know how to work with this, you can also get values and do specific extractions, evaluate expressions at this point in time. Get body size maybe, and evaluate scenarios like this, and we'll get some details on this on these messages. And this just makes the process a lot smoother to work with for you to be able to deliver integrations. One of the things that we also have, and that is something that makes it sometimes is a little more complicated also, is that we can use these Gradle plugins. So if you had in the good old days where you did not have single sign or SSO, you would be able to use these scenarios here. Right now we don't have it, and there is some we would need to use Figaf's identity provider to enable us to sign in here. And I think we need to make changes here. If everything like that worked correctly, we would be able to go here on a task CPI plugin and deploy this. So let's see if this will get this to work. So I will go into our tenant here. I will go under our OAuth client. I will create a new one. Daniel C, of course, and I think it is IDP sign we need here, and then we'll generate these two credentials. We copy those and add them here. And there. If we press save now, it should know this, and we should be able to actually select this. It may fail because some of the identity providers or something like that is not running as we would expect it to do. But if we're lucky, it would allow us to deploy it here. You can also use the upload or download for these scenarios. If you had the Neo, you just enter your SUser and password here, and then you'd be able to use this. And this speeds up the process because you can go and deliver it here. Yeah, so we are getting some unauthorized, so it's not able to log in correctly. We probably need to understand and look more into the details of this scenario. But the idea is that you would add this SSO URL here to enable it to log in with these properties. And you can also in the configuration files in the build, I think here you have these different projects and flows. Here you can also go in and say, okay, create a scenario that uploads and deploy these artifacts. But obviously, this is something you need to play around with and ensure that you get everything working for this scenario. So I hope you got a good understanding about how this Figaf tool works for Git integration. Obviously, it is more complex to set up and work with, but it also gives you a lot of advantages when you want to work with more complex scenarios, want to use libraries, want to use all of these different components. Then this process simplifies the setup, make it easier for you to work with your SAP integration. Just one thing, I normally recommend that you do not, so you can obviously make changes in the code here if you want to, but do bear in mind that it is probably better to go in and then say here, roll back the changes once you have uploaded it manually. So just roll back the changes for the scenario here. So we'll just roll back, and then you can sync via Figaf back into here, because if you start to push too much from this local ID into the Figaf repository, you end up with a mess and who owns what and what is the real value. So it is a lot better that the value comes from the Figaf tool. The only exception is that the test cases, if you want to make modifications to those, they need to be created here. Because that is just so much easier to have it in here and not in the SAP tooling. Or because here you can make the modifications that you want instead of doing specific test cases in Figaf, and that simplifies the process. And then do not put your Gradle.properties into the Git repositories. All the other ones can be all updated automatically. I hope you liked it. Try it out, but do bear in mind that this is for the more advanced developers. Try the Groovy IDE first. That is a much better tool, except it does not have the debug capability, but I think it simplifies a lot of the processing. Thank you for watching.